Equality versus equity. Equality means every child gets a pair of shoes. Equity means every child gets a pair of shoes that fit. That means every school district has to meet every student's individual needs.
I'm Jerry O'Green with the Black Student Advocate. We advocate for black employees and black students within the K-12 school districts. We hold school districts accountable to make sure that black students and employees are in a fair and equitable workplace.
Yes, peace. Welcome back to Humanity Works Podcast. I am your host, Jahad Masai Youssef. I want to thank everybody for dropping in tonight to watch such a great episode. We're going to be talking about, the declinations in the black community when it comes to marriage. We're going to be talking about family values and maybe a little bit of mental health. Now, for anybody that follows the show, this is one topic that I rarely talk about. I don't like to talk about what men are not. I don't like to talk about what women are not. I don't like to say who's to blame for this, that, and the third, the declination in our communities. I think the relationship talk is very redundant. It's all about value. And I tell people all the time, value to me is more powerful than love. When a person sees themselves in your reality, it's pretty much in the clutch. It's not a lot of work you have to do. It's not a lot you have to put into it. And I think we make these things too complicated. However, being a product of a 50-something plus year marriage of my mother, my father, I've seen the beauty of marriage. I've seen love. I've seen how a man loves a woman. I see how a mother runs a home and loves a man and the children. I've seen these things grow up. Two of my younger siblings, they're both married, have been married for years. I think my youngest brother, 15 years, 10 years. My older brother, the middle boy, a little bit over 20 years. I think him and his wife been together since they were around about 14. So it's a beautiful thing. I want to begin to promote love. I want to begin to promote unity. I want to begin to promote a collectivity amongst black men and women that we once experienced in the 60s and the 70s. And I'm not saying that they didn't have their challenges, but back on those fronts, they were a little bit more codified. Listen, love is the highest form of understanding in the universe. It's the greatest thing that you can have, is to have somebody in your life that walks with you every single day of your life, accepts your flaws, the uncertainty of being vulnerable in certain spaces where sometimes a person can't be trusted, or you just don't know if this person is going to be careful with your heart. A lot of heartbreak has happened with people where people have turned bitter, cold. Some people don't believe in love no more. A lot of people in our community really don't even believe in marriage. A lot of this is about sneaky linking, being hot girl summers, street niggas and thugs and, sneaky link. It's just all kind of things that I think is a detriment to our community, right? This is what I call black culture. However, man, tonight I have a guest on, man, that I think is going to give great insight. Been married for 18 years. Him and his wife, I believe they went through a divorce. So there's a lot of jewels that we're going to be giving on this stage tonight. And I'm going to ask the questions. And you all know that I'm going to get very deep. I'm going to be graphic, but it's about being transparent. We don't want to always talk about the things that are negative, the things that don't work. We want to talk about solution-based things. But before I bring our guest on, man, about a week or so ago, y'all know I was on my cologne game and I put a post out there. I'm like, yo, help your boy out with this cologne thing, man. I was told I need to level up, start smelling good. Everybody threw out a lot of suggestions. My cousin bought me Midnight in Dubois. Shout out to Sonny Mac. Then I got a hold of a cologne called Million by a close friend of mine. Shout out to Black. And then I kind of went and did my own thing and got me some Gavinci. I might be saying it wrong. So I'm like, I'm kind of liking this cologne thing. So I went back to the store the other day and I was looking at some Versace. I was going to get some YSL, Intense. There's different ones between the perfume and the cologne. What's stronger, what's intense, right? I'm learning this stuff. So I looked in the corner. I said, well, what's that? The lady was like, nobody's really ready for that yet. So I'm like, well, let me smell it. And she sprayed it and I was sold ever since. And I'm going to tell you, and they going to get free advertisement tonight. But yo, this right here, this Machino Toy Boy, that's it for me. You know what I mean? I swear. That's it for me. Tashino Toy Boy. And I'm like, you giving free advertisement. Listen, I'm just excited. When I put this stuff on, I'm hugging every woman I see. Just on GP. I'm giving out free hugs just so they can smell how good I am. But anyway, man, tonight, man, our guest, man, is Author Royce Dixon Sr, author of 4 books, Hidden Feelings, Blessed While Broken, and also Hidden Feelings Revealed, Is There More, and JoJo's Learning. And he's also the CEO of Be Blessed Clothing. So, man, you heard enough from me, man. Let's get ready to bring this brother on. Let's get this conversation started tonight, man. What's going on with you, good brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm still learning, man. How you been?
I've been good, bro. I've been good. But I gotta correct you on one thing. We've been married
Uh-huh.
almost 30 years. If you ask me, it's 30. You ask her 28, and we'll talk about more about that later.
Oh, really? It's been almost 30
Yeah,
years.
it's been 30 years.
It's
If
been
you
30
ask me,
years?
yeah.
Okay, okay. Wow, man. Well, congratulations, man. So, you definitely know I got questions for you tonight, man.
Oh yeah.
So, we kind of met on the softball circuit, man. And ever since I met you, man, you've been a solid brother, positive influence, just a good dude, man. But the one thing that I noticed about you that you always promoted, and I love this about you and your wife, y'all always promoted, and you all are like a distinguished couple to me. Y'all always promote the beautiful thing of love between a black man and a black woman. Now, I know a lot of times on social media, there's a lot of envy. People be like, that can't be real. That's too good to be true. But I truly believe that there are people out here who are truly destined and made it cut for one another, man. So let's begin this journey, man. When and how long ago? Well, you said 30 years. How did you and your wife meet?
We met actually at a birthday party for one of my cousins, and I know it sounds cliche, but it was kind of love at first sight. I knew when I saw her, and we spent some time together, that she was the one. And then she kind of left and went to moved out to California for a little while, and we met back up maybe a year later, and pretty much been together ever since. So we met at a
Wow,
birthday party.
that's a beautiful thing. Um, so when you met and you said you knew her when you first met her. So you let her get away and she moved to another state. How did y'all reconnect? How did y'all bring that back together?
Man, I just happened to run into her at one of the local restaurants. We had been out that night and stopped to get a bite to eat, and I saw her. I'm like, man, I remembered her from before because we had such a good time that night, and she remembered me, and we started talking. We exchanged numbers. Next thing you know, it was about a week or two later, I ran into her again. I was with some friends just randomly, and one of my friends knew one of her older sisters who was in town. So we stopped by the house and we connected again. Like I said, we've been together ever since.
I got a question, bro. So, man, when you first seen your wife, man, and you knew she was the one, bro, why did you let her get away like that? Like, and listening to you, it was like a couple of times y'all ran into each other. So why didn't you pull that trigger when you first met her?
Well, she had aspirations to be a model, and so
Okay.
she had to go out to California. So I really had no choice. We had just met, so I really wasn't in. We hadn't started a relationship yet. We were just talking as friends,
Hmm.
and so we were talking on the phone for hours. And then she told me, she's like, "I got to go." I'm like,
Okay.
well, if you got to go, you got to go. We were like 19 and 20. We were 19 at the time.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah,
So
that's how it
you all
started.
finally connect and you finally propose to her and you
Mhm.
all get married. Tell us about some of the beginning because everybody that's listening tonight that's been married for years, they probably can relate to a lot of things you're about to say.
Right.
Tell us some of the good things starting out in a relationship that you just loved about being married.
What I love about being married is that's my best friend. I'm gonna speak from my point of view now.
Please do.
That's my best friend. We do everything together. It's kind of like a teammate. If you and your teammate ain't on the same page, the team never wins.
Right.
I can't win as an individual if she loses as an individual. So we got to do everything together. So we wake up every morning and we choose each other on purpose. And we'll tell each other, I choose you on purpose because every decision that we make throughout the day affects our spouse. So when you learn to choose each other every day, you realize, hey, I can't do this or I can't do that because it would hurt her. And if it hurt her, it hurts me. So we
Wow.
kind of work marriage that way as a team aspect versus just two individuals trying to come together. We're a
It's
team.
funny you use the word choose. Okay, so I have a thing that I always say. I have a now this is me speaking on my experience, what I've always noticed. OG told me years ago, man, you don't never marry a woman that you love. You marry a woman that loves you because the woman that you love is gonna love someone else. And I found it to be true, at least in my reality. When you say the word choose, I truly believe this is me, that the woman chooses the man. And the reason why I say that is because women know where they want to be. They know what type of man they want. And there's just certain things that most women, they require for a man to embody. Like a lot of times we don't understand why that couple is together, but it's something about that man that that woman can't live without. However, not to be confused, the man still pursues the woman because a man can tell when a woman is giving him that confirming energy
Right.
that, I want you to pursue me. I want you to take interest in me. So I believe the woman chooses the man. So do you think that when you all got married and you say that's your best friend, do you think that your wife truly chose you and knew that you was the one for her?
Oh yeah, definitely. Even after we got divorced and got back together, there was a time when she told me, I don't want you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to be your friend. If it's not about our kids, we don't have nothing to talk about. So after I kept pursuing her, like you said, she then had to choose me to come back. And at one point, she's like, Royce, I don't know if I love you enough for us to make this work. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna love you enough for the both of us. Until you're ready, I'm not going nowhere, and we're gonna make it happen.
Yo, bro, that's some real that's some real deep things you just said right there, man. And I admire and respect you because, bro, you a better man than me. Because if a woman tell me she don't know if she can love me enough, I'm out. So do you think, let's just go with that now. Okay. I chuckled about it, but let's talk about it. Do you think that that's the biggest fear of black men when it comes to commitment and relationships is being in a space of vulnerability that they can trust?
Definitely. That rejection, men have a hard, especially black men, we have a hard time when somebody tells us no. We have a hard time with that, especially when a lot of us, you know, if you think you're a good looking guy, you've never really had a problem with getting a woman or a girlfriend or whatever. You know, at that point, when somebody tells you no, that hurts you to your soul. So because of our pride, we take it personal. And so I took it personal when she told me no. But at the same time, I knew what I wanted. I knew what God had saved for me, because everything that I did didn't have that same flavor. Like you said, we met on the softball field.
Yes.
And play softball, you know, day after day after day. Some nights we playing 6-7 nights a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was part of my problem. But I didn't realize how much time I spent away from home.
Yeah.
So even when I was playing softball after we got divorced, it didn't have that same flavor to me. It wasn't fun. It just wasn't. I was just out there playing, going through the motions. And it wasn't because she came to every game, but it was just something that was missing in my life.
Right.
So I knew right then something was wrong. When I didn't enjoy what I used to enjoy anymore, then there's something wrong with me, and I had to look in the mirror and figure that out.
I understand. Now, you just mentioned divorce, which we're going to get into that, but I must ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you did not see coming or you did not expect after you had got married?
I never thought that I would get divorced, but I never thought that me spending time just playing a game would cause so much havoc. I mean, there was other things that went along with that, but that took me away from home. You know,
I know. I know the travel.
Yeah, I'm traveling. I'm going with the kids, going to practices and games and stuff like that. So I did all that stuff as a dad, but I forgot about that part of me that was a husband. You know, so we didn't date. I didn't ask her to go out on dates and stuff like that. I'm thinking that, you know, you just come to a game with me and we cool. Mm-hmm. But she wasn't enjoying the game like I enjoyed the game. And then after that, we come back home and it's right back to the kids or the bills or, you know, the everyday life.
Right.
And so I never expected that something that I love doing, like playing softball, would ever play a part in me being divorced.
Right. I truly think I truly admire married people. I think married people are elite because to me, you've made the most selfless decision that you can make in life. Yeah. You're choosing to sacrifice your own self-will and the things that you want to do for the cause of someone else that you see as a spouse or somebody you think that you can, you know, walk through life with. So I told you, man, you know, I like to be transparent. You know, I like truth and honesty on the show, especially for those who watch the show. And there are married people who have been married for years that are going through some things. And I've learned this about married people who have been together for years. They're going to hit walls and issues and problems. So my next question to you is, out of the 30 years you all have been together, been married, technically, like you were saying, was there ever any infidelity?
No, we never. Our marriage wasn't about cheating or nothing. I mean, our divorce was never about cheating. Mentally, I mean, physically, it was never about cheating. Mm-hmm. Did I have some outside conversation? Yeah, that I shouldn't have had. That was a form of cheating to my wife. Right. And now I see it. I see it as cheating too. But as far as the physical part, no.
Let me ask you a question. Let's just play devil advocate. I'm gonna ask you this question. With the love that you have for your wife and you knowing that she was the one, if you had found out that your wife had been with another man, what would your decision have been? What would you have done if that had been your reality?
I think we'd still be here together now. It would have took a little bit more work or a different type of work, but I think we still could have worked it out because, like I said, I was gone all the time. So I understand if I'm not home and taking care of business, then somebody else will come in and give her the things that she wasn't getting from me.
True that.
As a man, I got to understand that. I got to accept that because I played a role in not being there for her.
True that. You know, I say this thing, a lot of people, I see this all the time. People want the wedding, but don't want the marriage. I was having a conversation with a young lady one day, and she asked me the question. She was like, "So, Red, we get married, and I cheat on you. What would you do? Would you leave me? Blah blah blah." First of all, I like true transparency and honesty. You know, that's just one thing that I'm always respect. If I can't get, I will never trust you. You will never get that credibility from me. But I told the young lady, I said no, and she was like, "Well, why not?" I said, at the end of the day, if I tell you that, and this is me, if I tell you that I love you, I'm only held accountable for how I treat you, how I take, how I love you, how I take care of you, how I'm patient with you and deal with your flaws. I have nothing to do with what you have going on. Love, I think, is the long distance runner. You're gonna have issues, you're gonna have problems. That's why I say married people are elite, especially those who stay married when they deal with a lot of situations. I know a lot of women who stayed with a husband and had a child out of the marriage, women who tip out and things like that. And I look at those couples as somebody to truly learn from, because it's so easy to just throw in a towel. It's easy to become mad, angry, and bitter. And I'm not championing or saying that's infidelity or tapping out. It's the right thing to do. However, what I had to learn was, if I value you enough to love you the right way, we're going to rock through this thing. Unless you just absolutely tell me, like, you don't want no more of this, you don't want nothing to deal with me, you don't enjoy my reality, then okay, I get it, then I'm out. And I think for people who are strong enough, because I think that people don't really take those vows seriously when they standing at the altar. Like, those words mean something. Couples, they say the number one reason why many black people divorce is because of finances. Well, it's said for richer or poor. Or another reason why a lot of people divorce is because a spouse or a mate has a medical condition, or they're altered, or they're never the same again. And now you got to take care of them like a baby. But it said in sickness and health. And I witnessed that with my own parents. When my mother had a stroke in 85, my father never left my mother, and he said he didn't marry my mama to leave her. He married my mama to stay with her. And, with the women that came at my dad, talking about she's never going to be the same again. She's going to be partially paralyzed, lost a lot of speech. My father never left my mother's side, and my mama had my youngest brother after that, and he was the fattest of us all. So, so that was just like a miracle thing, man. But I really admire people like you and those married couples. I think they're the teachers, man. Because I tell you, I can't stand these single ass social media gurus that got so much to say about love and relationships, and they never even took that jump.
Right.
So
let me say this too. And when people get married, I don't think they take the time to listen to the vows that they're saying. Mm-hmm. They just want to get to the good part. They want to get to the honeymoon. They want to get to the reception. They want to go kick it. They want to do all the stuff, the fun stuff that comes after the wedding. Mm-hmm. But if you truly listen to the vows and pay attention, then you know that you're not just making a promise to her, you're making a promise to God and yourself. These are vows that you take to make to yourself. If you don't care about nobody else, you should care about you.
Yeah.
And so if I vow to love this woman for the rest of her life, then that's what I should do for the rest of my life.
Facts.
I get that now, but like I said, the 20-year-old in me didn't take the time to listen to the vows and pay attention to the vows when I was coming up.
Right.
But now when we get married again at 40, now I understand those vows.
Right. So let's get into it. You mentioned it earlier about divorce, and I'm shocked. I'm really shocked about it. Actually, man, let's get into it. I want to actually read a passage from your book, From Blessed While Broken. And you said in your book, we had the opportunity to stop the divorce 3 times, and each time my pride wouldn't allow me to do so. So I told the judge, whom I knew, just to continue on. He wasn't comfortable with it, but he did. I think I misprinted that wrong. But he did what I asked him to do. I knew when I saw her hurting that I was making a big mistake, and still loved her because of how it hurt me to see her hurting like that. And that's blessed from why broken. Speak on that divorce, brother.
Man, so we went through the divorce. It was rough. When she asked me about it, I was coming home from a softball game. She asked me, this is right after we took our son to college, and she asked me, she's like, so do you want a divorce? And I told her I need to think about it. So I went to the game. I came back. I went to Popeye's Chicken, came back. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the kitchen in the corner, and I'm sitting there eating the chicken, putting honey on the biscuit. And she walks by, she's like, so do you want the divorce? And I said, yeah, I think so. She's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, I think sure. She said, did you pray about it? Yeah, I did. And so that was it. She was like, so who am I to stop what God, if God told you to divorce me, then who am I to stop it? Mm. So this was, like I said, in August. And I think because I worked downtown at the courthouse in divorce court, and I see it every day, I knew all the steps to go through to where we can get it done quickly. We didn't fight over child support or the house or nothing like that because I just wanted to give her everything. I was just gonna start over. I figured since I'm the man and she got, the kids will be coming home, she needed that. So we go through the divorce. We get to the divorce in September. I think it was like September 11th. And so when I walk in the courtroom, she's already in the courtroom and she's crying, and that bothered me. So I seen a friend of ours. She's sitting there. She's trying to console her, and they call us up to the front. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And we get there. The judge is like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" So no, he starts the proceedings. And he said, "Ma'am, I see how distraught you are right now. Do you want to continue?" And she didn't say nothing. She just kept crying. I said, "Yeah, let's just go. Let's just go."
Wow.
And so he continued on a little further. And I guess he could see it on both of our faces that neither one of us really wanted to go through it. He asked us again, "Are you sure you want to do this?" She's like, "Royce, I know you. I've worked with you, and I know your wife. Well, I've heard you talk about your wife before. Are you sure you want to do this?" I said, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's finish." She couldn't say much. And so he went on and kept asking. He asked me one last time, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because once I do this, it's final." I'm like, "Yeah, let's just go." So he went through it. After we got done, he said, "Okay, now you're divorced." She takes off running. She walked fast to the door, and I'm kind of walking behind her. And I promise you on everything that when she just disappeared, I could not find her. So I'm looking around the corners, looking at bathrooms. I did not see her anywhere. So I called her best friend. I was like, "Can you just call and check on Lisa because I'm worried about her?" She's like, "I'm mad at you, right?" I said, "I know, sis, but I had to do what I had to do." So I knew then when I seen her hurt like that, it hurt me. And so I knew I made a mistake that really wasn't what I wanted to do. But at the same time, as a man, I wanted to rip that Band-Aid off quickly. I didn't want to go through the pain of being hurt like that.
But you wanted the divorce though.
Right.
Why?
I just wanted her to be happy, and I wanted to be happy. So I thought we'd be better apart.
What made you feel that way?
Well, we grew up with our kids. Like I said, we got married when we were 20. So we did everything with our kids. From practice, my son played basketball, football. My daughter played basketball. So I was coaching the kids and playing softball. So everything was about everybody else other than at home. So we would argue. When I tell you we would argue, but never really in front of the kids, but we wouldn't speak to one another. We would go months and not speak to one another. Sleep in the same bed, go to church, do everything together, go to the games. Nobody knew what we were going through secretly. And so I was like, we can't keep moving like this because this is crazy. If you're not happy and I'm not happy, then why are we sitting here? So, like I said, I thought it'd be better for us to just split.
That's interesting. I have a lot of conversations, man. I was speaking to a close friend of mine. Her name is Michelle. Straight out of Southwest Atlanta, out SWAT, shawty. You know what I'm saying? But she always says when we talk, she said, "I lost myself in my marriage," and she would say that I didn't understand what she was saying. So hearing you say that it was all about the kids and this, that, and the third. So I think what she was saying was, and maybe a lot of women go through this. When you say it was all about the kids, a lot of times women feel like they're more of a service than a commodity in a marriage. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that from what I've heard. Let's just think about this. When a man and a woman gets married, a man goes to work, he provides, he comes home. For those who are men, he'll come home, he'll kick his feet up, he'll watch Sports Center, ball, or whatever. When a woman comes home from work, she's got to cook for the kids, cook for the man. She's probably doing laundry, probably cleaning up if she's a woman like that, right? Yeah. And, probably intimacy later on at night. And this goes on for years and years and years. Even with my brother and my sister. My sister-in-law feeling like, when she said, I didn't sign up for this, when they was going through a little something. So when it comes to marriage, man, what needs to change as far as on the men's behalf? Do we need to give women a little bit more grace? We know we're evolving as a community. Like, roles have changed. It's not like it was in the 70s, 80s, where the woman just did woman thing, man did man things. It's almost like how basketball is nowadays. It's positionless. So do men going into marriage nowadays, do they need to consider playing more of a role typically that women played in prior generations?
Right, definitely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with help cook or help clean up. Pick up after yourself. pick up, if you got kids, pick up after your kids. Just whatever you can do to help take the load off. If both of you are working, you're both tired.
Yeah.
But like I said, in my case, I was, after getting off work for 8-9 hours, I was coming home, changing clothes, and going to the ballpark.
Right. Okay.
For another 2 hours.
Right. I feel you.
So then you come back home, you're trying to spend a little time with the kids. By the time before you know it, you don't spend 20 hours of your day doing everything else but spending time with your wife.
Right.
So as men, we got to, remember that we still got to do those things to keep her. That's true. That's a true saying. Whatever you did to get her is what you need to continue to do to keep her.
Yeah, you know what? I feel you on that, man. That's a lot of women nowadays, you know what I'm saying, being in a dating pool. The one thing they be asking, they wasn't asking 20 years ago, like, can you cook? Like, they wasn't asking this question 20 years ago. I'd be like, no, but a Taco Bell right around the corner,
Right.
But
I can't really cook, but I can get on the grill in the summertime.
Yeah, I grill. I say, listen, I'm seasonal. You want me to cook? Wait till the sun come out in the summertime. I'll put some hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Boy, I don't even know how to boil water, boy. But anyway, man. So how do we get our community to fall back in love with the idea of love and family?
I think we got to change the mindset. First, we got to begin with ourselves and deal with the trauma that we've had growing up as kids. And just because what your mom and dad did when you were younger, don't mean those same things apply today. For example, my dad was the same way. The way I saw marriage when I first got married is what I saw my dad doing. And my mom was cool with it because she didn't care. As long as he came home and did what he's supposed to do, that works for them. But just because it worked for them don't mean it works for us.
You're right.
But we got to take care of ourselves first. And all those mental traumas of what we think men should be or what husbands should be, sometimes that stuff is toxic because it doesn't work for you.
Can you give me an example?
For example, sometimes a woman doesn't mind if her man comes in at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that is late or anything wrong with that. That's what they do. But my wife didn't want me to be out there, late at night. She didn't want me out there going to the club or hanging in the streets. She wanted me home with her working and helping take care of the kids. That's what we signed up for. We didn't sign up. She didn't sign up for me to go do whatever I wanted to do. And then she being home taking care of everything else, being a servant like you just talked about. Mm-hmm. Or, we grew up so hard that we don't want to share our feelings or show any type of emotion. I never saw my dad cry until I was well into my 30s or 40s. When my brother went to prison was the first time when I saw my dad cry. Mm. So I never really seen him show any emotion towards my mom. I knew he loved my mom, but you might see a kiss every now and then, but you didn't really see that affection. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a huggy, feely type dude with my mom. So my wife, she likes physical touch. She likes for me to hug on her. She likes for me to tell her I love her. Mm-hmm. So the things that I grew up with is not exactly what I needed to do in my marriage. One last example, like her father. Her father's a stay-at-home type guy. He, handy around the house with tools. Some break, he fix it. Well, I didn't grow up that way. I never saw that. We always called somebody to come in who knew what they was doing, get it done right the first time. Mm-hmm. She's like, Russ, I just need you to try it. Maybe we can save some money. That ain't how we do it. Not to mention, I got to get going because I got to go play ball. I don't have time to sit and try to fix the sink. I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to tear it up. So those are some of the toxic things that I had to get rid of the second time around.
Well, that's the one you just talked about. That's real because there are some things that I think a lot of people, because, like moving to the South, there's like a whole different type of acclimation in the way people are raised. As far as like being handy around the house, growing up in the Midwest, it was a different type of culture. You know what I mean? We grew up on concrete. Down south, I'm around water and land. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But you're right. And it's funny you say that because when it comes to, let's get into the parenting thing now. Mm-hmm. When it comes to parenting, my dad would always say there were certain things that, he admired about my grandfather, but there was also certain things that he did for us that he didn't get. That my grandfather couldn't do at the time, not because he wasn't a great father, because he was just so busy with the community, plus he was a pastor. There are some things that I did with my children that I typically didn't do with my own that I experienced growing up. Not necessarily that it was a bad thing or a toxic thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to parenting, right, because the question is, how do we get our people back into the mindset of falling in love again? Do you really think that the idea of marriage, how do you make the idea of marriage influential in children if the household situation is in a toxic situation to try to curb that cultural detriment?
Right. I think a lot of it is we have to show our children a different way. You know, if you're not happy in the home and you're fighting in the home and they see this, they're going to think that's normal. So then when they get married, that's what they're going to do. They're going to think that fighting that they're doing right there and there is normal. It's what everybody does when it's not. I truly think that we have to live our lives in a way that our children will want to emulate what we do. So if they don't see you happy, why should they go get married? Because mom and dad ain't happy. Uncle over here ain't happy. I don't see happy couples. So you don't have an understanding of what happy means. On the other hand, all my family was married. My uncles, aunts, mom and dad been married over 50 years. My wife's parents been married over 50 years. So that's what I saw, but I never saw them fight. So when I got into a fight with my wife, I didn't know how to fight. Or not necessarily say fight, I say argument. Or deal with misunderstandings, for lack of miscommunication. It all boils down to miscommunication.
Right.
So you didn't see that. But now if we teach our kids what it's like, that it's being married is a great thing. My kids now see us differently than they did back before. They see how happy we are.
Right.
And they say, man, we love how y'all doing. My son now will tell me, man, you know, I'm the only one of my friends who still got their parents that are married.
Yes.
So we just got to portray ourselves and be real. Like you said, be real and transparent. They see the real us now. They see us, you know, we got to talk about the bill. They see us sitting down at the table and talking about what we need to do. Versus they didn't see that before. We kind of heard that from them.
Right. That's what's up. So let me bring it to this. Let me bring this into the discussion, right? So we talk about the Black community and a lot of things, and I you know, my value was always with my people. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm not pro-Black. I once was, you know, but my values, interests, and principles are still lie with the original people. However, we're seeing a change to where our people are marrying all different ethnicities. Mm-hmm. Do you believe love has a color on it? Should Black people continue to marry Black people, or should people go where they are valued enough to be loved the right way, no matter what the color of the ethnicity of the individual is?
I think for the person, you got to go with who loves you. Mm-hmm. I mean, because love covers a multitude of things, and love has no color. So I know some pretty cool other ethnicities, and they love Black. They love one of my closest friends loves Black women.
Yeah. And
so I can't say that he shouldn't, because that's what he likes, and I know what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
So
and because I had a conversation with a buddy of mine. We was out one time, and I just asked him, I'm like, so dude, you gonna ever get married? And he's like, nah. You know the conversation you have with guys. Nah, I don't trust these bees. I don't trust these, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, so what do you think about interracial marriage? I ain't with it. Black people need to marry Black people. I said, okay, so let's talk about this. Most of the guys we know we don't have no intention. Well, I ain't gonna say me. They don't have any intentions of marrying a woman. The only thing they're gonna feed a woman is just with the sexual apparatus, do their thing and move on.
Right.
I said, there's a young lady, a Black woman. She runs a business, and sometimes she sets up a stand in the gym that I go to, right? Mm-hmm. Met her like maybe a couple years ago, whatever, you know, and she's kind of like the goofy type, silly, like really nerdy, but very nice and kind, right? Mm-hmm. But she's married to a white dude, right? But I could tell by the white dude, you know, the way he treats her is like gold. It's not nothing false. It ain't nothing real. It wasn't based on to make people mad or piss them off, right? But then when the brothers come around the gym and they look at her and they observe her, they laugh at her. They talk about her hair. She's too dark and this, that, and the third. So that's where I begin to understand the value of people loving one another genuinely. I used to be one of these people about Black love and Black power. I'm not like that anymore, because at the end of the day, let's just keep it real. We know a lot of people are growing up in single homes. They never seen marriage. A lot of these young men have never seen their father love a woman or seen their mother be loved by a man. Mm-hmm. So they grew up with these traits that marriage ain't the deal, but getting in the streets, getting in these monies and effing these hoes, and I didn't mean to say that, effing these H's and effing these B's, that's the way to go. So that's the one thing that we're trying to fight and counter against. Not that I'm trying to push or promote the Rainbow Coalition when it comes to love, but when it comes to this thing, because the name of the podcast is Humanity Works, right?
Right.
nothing heals, I think, a human being like love. Like when I got sick real bad and I was in the hospital and didn't really know what my future was looking like, the love of my mother and father coming down to Atlanta, Georgia healed me right here in this very space. You know what I'm saying? Just the love that I felt from them. So I think that the greatest thing that a person could achieve in life is to be with somebody who genuinely is going to love you unconditionally till the day y'all depart by death.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to find. I think people want it, but they just don't know how to go about it. And then the thing about getting married, because, man, I ain't going to even lie. The crazy thing about my situation is I come from parents, like you said, that have been married 50-some plus years, right? I didn't grow up in a toxic household. I didn't see my father and my mother fighting. I didn't see my dad stumble in drunk late at night. I didn't see my mama on the phone talking with other guys, talking about those are her friends and all this. I never seen any of this. My mama was in the house with us. But for some reason, I struggled with the idea of marriage for a long time. I wanted to be married, right? Young. But I think in my situation, like a lot of people in our community, I think I was traumatized by a tragic event that happened years ago with my oldest kid's mother. And that kind of damaged me. And then also child support.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make anything legal because I've already been through this and I felt bondage, right?
Right.
So here's my next question. How do you define marriage? Because the reason why I say that question, some people say a marriage ain't a marriage till it's legal. But I happen to think that there's a spiritual law that takes place before legal law takes place. So how do you define marriage?
Marriage, I would have to say it does. That piece of paper does make a difference, because as long as you don't have that piece of paper, you can always just walk away. You know, we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, so it makes it easier to walk away. But when you, like I said, it goes back to those vows. When you make those vows to one another, when you get married, that makes a huge difference, because now you've made a commitment, not only to her, but to your friends, your family, to your loved ones, to God, and to yourself, that you're going to love, be married to this woman till death do you part. And that's why I say we got to get back to taking those vows seriously, and not just waiting to get to the fun part. Because look, being married ain't always easy. It's going to be some hard times. We still have some hard times, but I'm so much better because of her, through her, God using her to love me the way I needed to be loved. When we went through the divorce, I didn't feel love anywhere. I went and stayed with my parents, but I just couldn't feel anything. It was just like I was cold. Nothing else mattered. And then the closer I began to realize what I did and what I needed to get back, the world just began to be different. It began to be brighter. It began to be a little bit warmer. But like you said, that love will change you. And because of the love, I ended up, starting the clothing line, starting my own business, writing these books. It was because the love was back, and she was pouring into me all the things that I needed to bring out. I've always had the passion to write. I just didn't have it like I needed it to have it. But when I got something to write for, she gives me, lack of a better term, flavor. She gives me flavor. So she brings joy to my life. So to me, that's what marriage is. When somebody, you look forward to coming home from work and to have somebody to be able to be there and talk to. When at night, when you're going through things, you got somebody there with you that's going to go through it with you. It's loving the imperfections out of you. Or we're gonna always be imperfect. But when they love you in spite of those imperfections, man, you got something truly powerful if you work with it and keep using it.
Right. So I want to go to one of the passages, man, from your book, Hidden Feelings. It says, before all of this happened to me, I never took the time to ask myself why. Why didn't my past relationships work? Why didn't I allow women to get close to me other than my mom? Now that I've been looking in the mirror, I see things a lot differently. I wanted to know why, because it would end up forcing me to do just what that, just end up doing just that. Looking in the mirror. It would force me to look at the whole situation and not just with what I was comfortable with. I'm learning that our past memories can bind us, keeping us from moving forward. If they are, I did the best I could, if they are not dealt with, because if they carry a form of pain that we associated with that memory, and 9 times out of 10, then we would rather not deal with it if we can avoid it like the plague. Speak on that.
You said it best. I think you said it was your first baby mother.
Yeah, my oldest kid's mother.
That kind of scarred you from getting married, from ever wanting to really, put you in that situation again. That's that the clip you just played was really about Troy, my main character in my book, Hidden Feelings and Hidden Feelings Revealed. He lost his mom, and he didn't know how to process it. He didn't know how to explain to his girlfriend, Jasmine, what he was feeling, what he was going through. He wasn't showing any type of emotion. He just basically shut down. And so she gave him an ultimatum. Hey, look, either you're going to let me help you and we're going to get through this together, or I got to leave because right now you're just a roommate. You know, we just going through this thing and you're not even really here. And I felt that even with my marriage, we were just going through the process of being together because we had said we were married. We had gotten married. And so men, when we have that trauma, and a lot of men might be scarred from past girlfriends, and that's why they don't really want to get close, because they don't want to ever feel that hurt again. You know, that pride kicks in again. You were gonna say something?
Oh, no. It's your no, you finished talking. It's your show.
So yeah, when that pride kicks in, we don't want to go through that again. So instead of messing with you, I just go over here and get there with this one. And then when I get too close to this one, before I start getting feelings for her, then I'll go back and find another one. And we just keep bouncing around because we're so afraid to be committed and to feel that pain again. I'd rather just bounce around than look in the mirror and be like, okay, what did I do? So when we got divorced, I was sitting in my room at my parents' house, and I'm staring at the ceiling like, what happened? Because I know I'm a good dude. I know I was a good dad.
Yeah.
But why did my marriage work? So I began to going over all the little things. And like I said, I started calculating the time that I was gone playing softball. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, well, if I had, maybe not went to this game and helped clean up, had I not did this, maybe she would have freed up some time for her. And then she could have came to the game. And then we could have went and did something after the game. I began to look at all the little things that I didn't want to face when I was married. And so when I asked her, what could I have done to be a better person, to be a better husband? Not because I'm trying to get back with you, but because I truly want to be a better person. She's like, Royce, you don't really want to know the answer to that question. I'm like, yeah, I do. I really want you to tell me. I want to be a better person. And so she's like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm like, okay. So I forget, maybe a couple weeks went by or so. I went back to her again. I'm like, Lisa, tell me what I did or what I could have done better. I really need to know because I want to be better. She's like, okay, but remember, I'm not your wife right now. So I don't have to spare your feelings. I can tell you exactly what I've been wanting to say for years. And if it hurts you, it hurts you. That's not my problem. So I'm like, okay, I got to suck it up. So here we go. So when she started rattling off everything, just going down the list, I'm like, man, it was like a kick in the stomach. It was a straight gut punch. But I needed that.
Right.
So, like I said, to become a better person. And so I went back home and I'm just in tears. I'm crying because I was truly hurt by what she said.
Wow.
When I got home, began to think about it. I'm like, okay, she was right. I did do those things. And had I not done those things, had I done something differently, then maybe we wouldn't have had to go through the divorce. But now I can truly say I was blessed while I was broken because I became a better person out of it. We became a better person. We became a better couple. And now our marriage is totally different. And we can talk to one another before it ever gets to that point where it feels like a gut punch.
But that's truly truth, honesty, and transparency, something that I really admire about people, if they could be that. I can honestly say, man, that as far as my reality, and I didn't even realize by reading that passage, I really was kind of talking about myself. So that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I can honestly say, man, I've never been done so wrong by a woman to where I wasn't where I was damaged and bitter not to love a woman. Mm-hmm. What damaged me, man, was that money, that child support, man. It broke me. And I think what it did was, it took away my ability to be dependent as a man in my younger years, right? And it carried all the way into like my late 30s, almost my 40s, to where I just now rebounded back. And it's that powerful. But in my mind, it planted a seed of hate. Right. I didn't think in this generation of black women, I didn't think love was more important than money. Yeah. So when we talk about legal things, because I think just by even having this conversation, I think what has really, I could like a woman and we could be everything. But when they start talking that marriage, I'll ask you, so what kind of marriage are you trying to have? Is this going to be what we're going to be partners, domestic partners, or are you trying to make it legal? When they be talking about I want to make it legal, that's where I think my issue comes from.
Right.
Like, who can you trust to give that much power over you systemically? I think I'll get there one day. I mean, I've always wanted to be, a married man and have a family. But again, I admire married people. I've had Rob Love on this show and his wife. Man, that's a testimony. I'm gonna have them on the show because, man, for that man to survive his marriage, kudos to him. My brother, my two homeboys back in St. Louis, Leon and Dion, how long they been with their wife, and just certain couples you look at, Pete and Ebony, just certain people you look at. I believe that when a relationship is so real, people don't even try you, right? Right. People can look, when people look at your relationship, be like, man, that's the realest thing I ever seen. Like, men don't try the woman, and women don't try the man, because they be like, that's so real. How would you even try to, tamper and mess something up like that with that, right?
Not at all. I don't have people in my inbox trying to, hook up. None of that.
Yeah.
And they when they see us, they truly see the real us. This is the way you see us out in the street or on Facebook, is the way we are at home behind closed doors. Yeah. I still open the door for my wife. I pull out her chair. I do all those little things.
That's dope.
I want to throw this out here too, and a lot of people don't realize it. You got a son and a daughter, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, when your daughter falls down and hurt herself, what do you do?
Pick her up and give her, show her love.
Right. Tell daddy what's wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do if your son did that? What would you do?
You got me. I'll be like, boy, get your ass up.
Right. So listen to what we just did subconsciously to our children.
Yeah.
We told our daughter to express herself, and we told our son to keep it in.
Damn.
So we tell our kids as boys to stand up and be a man. He's a boy. What does he know about being a man yet?
Damn.
I didn't realize that when I wrote this book. I tell you, it opened my eyes to so much stuff, and I wanted to go to my son and just apologize, because I'm like, son, I did you a disservice by teaching you that way, but I didn't know it at the time. Like I said, I didn't see my dad doing it. And so I carried a lot of things that I saw my dad do. Not saying that he was wrong, right or wrong, but it's just things that we don't realize that we do subconsciously.
Boy, you just did a bomb. I wish I had a bomb sound effect of what you just said, because, man, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I didn't either, man. So I wrote the book, Hidden Feelings. And I realized that I still had all these hidden feelings myself. But just because I did what I was taught and what I seen growing up.
Man, that's tough. So, man, you know what I'm saying? I've enjoyed the conversation, man. We're going to get ready to bring it to a close. Okay. And I got to have you back on again, man. I've enjoyed this conversation. And, a little bit less than an hour, man, you didn't drop so many jewels. I thank you for being transparent about your marriage. Bro, as long as I've known you, bro, I didn't even know you went through a divorce. I really did, man. You a quiet dude, man. Every time I seen you, just like always quiet and reserved, right?
Nobody did. Even the people that know us didn't know we had divorce.
That's tough, because when I look at y'all on Facebook, bro, y'all are inspirational to me. And shout out to my mom and dad, man. Love my mom. And I just thank them for being the couple that they were, for us to grow up the way that we did. And shout out to you and your wife, man, for making it work, because, man, listen, I'm about bringing us back together, man. I'm not with this shit show out here called Black culture, man, and the stuff that we're on and how we're raising our children and treating one another. And it's just something I just don't agree with, man. And shout out to all married people, man, who made a courageous decision, a real life decision, because in the end, man, when you get older, it pays off. Yeah. You got beautiful history together, as opposed to a lot of people out here in our 50s. We trying to, we shifting through at the thrift store trying to find something decent to purchase. I'm making an analogy, but wrapping up, man, my last question to you for young men, because this platform is for young men and black men and men in general to make the self-evaluation, self-determination to become better men, to be better fathers. Okay. Right. What are some tools that a man needs to equip himself with going into marriage? You love the woman, you care about the woman, but what are some of the tools you would give the young man advice on that they should equip themselves once they decide to marry a woman?
Sit down with her and have a conversation. No TV, no phones, no nothing. Have a conversation. Some of the things in the conversation you should talk about is your finances, setting boundaries, things that you want, things that she wants, things that she won't accept, things that you won't accept. Friendship. Work on your friendship daily. Outside of being who you are, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, work on your friendship. Because love is the foundation of marriage, but you got to have something else to build on top of that to keep it going. Otherwise, all you got is the bottom level. You're going to stay on surface level.
Yeah. Well, man,
feel free to be transparent.
All right, man.
Now, for the women, make sure your man has to be comfortable. If you want him to talk to you and share his feelings, you got to make him feel comfortable. Give him a safe space to know that he can tell you anything, and then you won't use it against him later on in the conversation or an argument. You know, no matter how bad or how intense the argument may be, give him that space to be comfortable enough to say whatever he needs to say. And communicate. Communication is huge, and it plays a major role. I know it sounds cliche, everybody talks about it, but you have to be able to talk to your spouse about anything. Don't call your boy and you forgot to call your girl or your wife. You know, because we'll call them for advice and won't go to our spouse. Why?
And they'll be single.
Right. So, you know, and don't go run to social media asking for advice about your relationship.
Yeah.
It's toxic. It's not gonna work.
I definitely agree with that. Well, man, I enjoyed you, man. I wish you continued success. I hate them books didn't get here, bro. I really do. Amazon, they never slipped up like that. Amazon, y'all need to get on y'all game. But man, I've enjoyed you, brother. I'm gonna have you back on the show because I am gonna do a marriage summit. I want to only feature, man, married people, man, on this show, on this platform, man. I'm tired of the division. I'm tired of, you know, that's why I don't talk about relationships and things. Now, it's kind of ironic because I do have a show that's going to air later on tonight. I have new episodes air every Tuesday at 10 p.m. You know, the 10 types of women constructive men need to avoid, you know what I'm saying? But it's just basically men who are driven with vision, that these are the type of women you want to be mindful of. Not to say that, you know, everybody has a season where they progress and they mature and they become better, right? So I want to see the men of our community, just men in general, you know, because men are still the head, you know, men are still the leaders, man. Men are still the providers, man, and the sustainers of life, man, with our families and our children. So we need to become better so our communities can become better. Society as a whole can become better, man. You know what I'm saying? To impact lives in the human community is what I say. So the one thing I always say, man, leaving off this show, man, hey, this is the place where we bring it sexy back to the everyday hardworking men and women who impact your life within close proximity. We want to rise above this madness, which is called Black culture. And the one thing that I want to leave you all with, and I say this after every single show, the worst mistake that you can make is to think that you have time. See you on the next episode. Peace.